We are proud to welcome the KiteFoil Elite at the Lake Trounsey, where passion, speed and skills meet and the competition is taken to a higher level. KiteFoil World Series Trounsey, presented by Upper Austria.
KiteFoil World Series Trounsey in Austria. Welcome back. If you were with us earlier, well, thanks for keeping the faith and joining me, Andy Rice, along with my co-commentators Mirko Bobini and Lorenzo Boschetti. We are about a little more than a minute to the start of race one of Blue Group in the men's fleet. This is the first opportunity that Blue Group has had to get on the water. Lorenzo, you're world ranked #1 in Formula Kite Men. We already talked earlier about your injury. That's why you're not out there. Fortunately, you will be back for the next event on home waters in Gizeria in a month. But thank you for joining me and Mirko for the time being. In Blue Group, who would you say are the people that we need to watch out for with just 1 minute to go before the start?
From my side, I can say Theo Ramcourt, Maximilian Mader, Florian Gruber and Guy Bridge. I think that are the guys that keep an eye. But there is also Tony Wodisek and Wojciechowska and Valentin Bontus. So I think it's going to be a really tough race and really close.
And Mirko Bobini, always difficult to put your money on anyone in these conditions, but who do you think has been showing good form going into this?
I mean, I can tell you something different, if I might, is how is going to be the guy that will spot the right side of the course, because this is going to be the challenge without gambling too much. So they have to, this is why they're just going back and forth for a couple of minutes before. They are just getting within the last 20 seconds, less than a 20 seconds to go, and they spotted that close to the race committee boat is going to be the side that it pay off. Let's see who is going to go for an early tack and go to the right side of the course. It's going to be pretty tough race.
Well, as you predicted, Mirko, it's very, very busy up by the committee boat as they launch into the start, and some really strong starts on the right-hand side. So who's going to go into that early tack? Already one boat on port going out past that side. Lorenzo, you're the expert at spotting who's who. Who do you see there?
Here can be Guy Bridge. Yeah, I think Guy Bridge can be.
So he's with the what you call the white fly surfer, is that right?
Sorry. Yeah, on this position I can spot Tony Wodisek, who is the yellow ozone going port at the moment. He went for early tack.
And then the red kite on this side, they're going to be pretty much the last to tack. Can you identify the red kite just going into the tack now?
Yeah, this is an Italian young boy, and he's Angelo Soli. He just have 16 years old, so he's really young. And yeah, he was the last one to tack because he has no room.
So the board left of screen looks like they've got good height on this side, but Mirko, do you still like the right-hand side, which is the top of the picture, the board's up by the cliffs?
Yes, exactly. What's going to happen is the wind close to the cliff, it bend a little bit, and then when you tack and you get yourself on starboard, you can have a different angle, and so the first one that hit the ley line on the right side usually should be at the front. I guess that is Flo.
It does look like Flo Gruber, doesn't it? And
or it's not in the yeah. And this one also is pumping to get more angle to the ley line and to try not to avoid the top mark. Okay, he make it. So Guy Bridge must be the one on the top of the fleet.
But the leader is still pumping the board like crazy, while the second place board is looking a lot smoother. And that looks like it's Max Mader who is closing fast on the leader. So is that Flo Gruber that we see still in the lead, but Max Mader driving off to the right? What do you reckon, Lorenzo?
Now I think it's Guy Bridge that is battling for the first position with Maximilian Mader. And I think Theo Ramcourt in third position, just jibe in the middle between Guy and Maximilian. Maximilian went for early jibe, so let's see at the leeward mark what will happen. We can see Florian Gruber behind Guybridge in this shot.
And so, front of shot, that is still Guybridge leading. And Mirko, what do you think about that early jibe by Max Mader? Considering you like the cliffs on the right-hand side, is it good to go back that way?
Is a good to go. We spotted it on the right side of the course, which is left when you come downwind. It's better to stay close to the cliff to get more pressure on it and to keep more speed. So you can see as Guy is pumping to get more upper and more speed, and then you can see how he's close. Okay, so now Max is just a little bit windward to him.
So that was a really good rounding by Max Mader. He was smoother going into the mark, and he seemed to be able to pull off a tighter rounding manoeuvre than Guybridge, which has now put Max Mader, the Singaporean, in control of the British rider, as both these two are fighting for the lead going out to the left-hand side of the course. And these guys really stretching quite a comfortable lead on the pack behind them. Lorenzo, can you identify any of the boards in third, fourth, fifth, sixth place?
Oh, that's a really hard question.
That's why I asked you to do it.
Yeah, but from this footage, it's hard for me, and I don't think I can identify anybody. I think the third one of the second group can be Theo de Ramcourt, but I'm not sure. And yeah, the third guy just tagged, and the guy are going for right side of the course to take the best wind out. Yeah, we can see Guybridge with the white fly surfer, just a little bit windward to Maximilian Mader with the grey fly surfer to on the left side down of the screen. And we can see also some guys in the water swimming because of literally marginal condition for this competition. Let's see who's gonna take the upwind mark before.
Now, if some kites crash to the water but other people are getting around successfully, what does that say? Is it a legitimate race, or do you need to call the race off?
No. I guess that if you see the majority of the athletes, they stay around the course, and the problem is when it's marginal, there is no room for mistake. So this is why if you do a mistake, like we have been talking this morning, go for attack. If you are able to attack, then it means is fine for the top rider. So the level is really high, but if you make a mistake, then your kite drop to the water.
Now, we are doing our best to try and identify who is who on the race course. Looking at the tracking, I'm going to bring in a name, Kai Calder from the USA. Is it possible that Kai Calder is one of the front runners in this race?
That's difficult to say, because we have to for sure this is Guybridge.
Oh yeah, Union Jack on the board. So you were correct in identifying that is Guybridge. Very hunched position. Can you also tell by the body position who's who, Lorenzo, sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes if we are not too far from the rider, we can even spot the rider or recognize it. But in this situation, we are really far from the back of the fleet. So we have now Guybridge rounding the leeward mark, and right behind Maximilian Mader going for the reach. So going for Mark 5.
And this is it, right? I mean, they're running out of road, and it looks like Guybridge might end up winning this race. So he's done a great job of getting back in front of Singapore's Max Mader. But this is going to be a race all the way to the finish. Not much in it.
Yeah, we just need to wait the last jibe of this competition around Mark 5, and after it's straight to the finish line with the last reach. And it seems like everything is okay for both riders. So if nothing bad happen, I think this is gonna be the finish position. But yeah, Maximilian Mader seems a bit faster than Guybridge in the reach. So let's see what's gonna happen in the finish line.
Yes, last meter you can see some kind of difficulties from Guybridge to keep the foil really top speed, because he's feeling the pushing from Max behind. He's trying to attacking him, but he make it at the end. So Guy seems to be he scored the first bullet.
Yeah, and he looks very happy about that. He was having to push really hard at the end, and he was losing a little bit of board control towards the end. Now, who's this coming across?
We can see Kai Calder with the green board and US flag in the front of the board, and Valentin Bontus right behind with white and red board. So
and
it's
the blue ozone. The blue ozone also crossed very well. Do you know the blue ozone, Lorenzo?
yeah, the blue ozone should be lens owner, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll come back to you soon because we're very soon into the next race. We'll just go to a quick ad break. Okay, so we only got a minute to the start of the next race. This is how quickly things are turning around, and this fleet will have been watching very carefully what happened in the first blue group race. And Mirko, you were saying just now about the power of the right-hand side. Do you stick by that plan that you need to get out to the cliffs on the right?
I totally stick on that because what we predicted and what we saw from Guybridge, just play on the right, center right, at the end they scored the bullet, so we were not so far away from the right decision and the right play on into the field here in Trounsey.
Okay, so now we are getting into the first race for yellow group. Lorenzo, we had a start in this race earlier, and we have to say that Martin Dolenc from Croatia must be one of the favourites. He was leading the race when it was abandoned earlier. Who else? We got 15 seconds actually, so let's just call the start first. This is fast and furious competition. Just trying to keep the boards in the sky, and again it's looking really busy at the committee boat end. 3, 2, 1 and start. Good start by Johan Beckett with the red kite on the right hand side of picture. He's looking very good. Who's going to go for the early tack away? Well, I'm going to throw that difficult question to Lorenzo if he can identify.
Yeah, it seems to be Noah Ranchman.
Noah Runciman from USA, the first out to the right hand side, and Johan Beckett on the left of picture with the red kite also going out that way. He was lying in third in the race that was abandoned earlier, so you can see some kites are struggling to stay in the air. I think maybe that's not one of the racers whose kite is just collapsing. Johan Beckett in the red kite just avoiding that other kiteboarder. Mirko, who would you want to be right now?
I want to be the fly surfer in front, having control of it and heading to the cliff. That's the part where to go, and it seems there is the only side with some wind, and then there is a couple of kites that you can spot it around the course, so it might help you to also spot where there is more wind instead of the other.
Orange ozone.
Yeah, we just seen the orange ozone passing, and it's Axel Mazzella. We can see now Martin Dolenc and Yanis Maus. Martin Dolenc is in the right of the footage, with Yanis Maus on the left. They are just passing through, and we can see some rider of the other fleet that are still struggling to restart because of the low wind condition, really marginal condition.
So there's enough wind to keep racing, but if you relax for a moment, then your kite can sink to the water.
Yeah, we can see Martin Dolenc in the front, if I'm not wrong. And I really think, again, Yanis Maus in the front, sorry guys. Martin Dolenc and Noah Ranchman third, with super marginal light condition wind. We can see all these guys are going really slow and not for super speed because there is no wind. What do you think, Mirko?
Yes, as we said, is marginal. This is the minimum wind where kite still competing, and they can, go relatively fast on these 5 knots, 6 knots wind average, and you can see how skill you have to have to not make any mistake on tacking and jibing. So amazing performance by those rider, and at least stay at the front and no mistake at all.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to get your absolute best tack in these conditions, don't you, Lorenzo? One slip on the tack and you're done. You're in the water.
Yeah, exactly. You're saying right, Andy. And this condition is really hard to tack, but we can see in this moment 3 fly surfer and 1 F1 that can be Conor Bainbridge. We can see Yannis Mouse just jibing around the leeward mark and going for upwind again.
And so
with Martin Doling right behind, a little bit windward, and now we have Noah Ranciman, 3rd position.
So really close between these, and how much leg propulsion is required to pump the board through the water in these light conditions? Is that a critical skill?
Yeah, in this in this marginal condition, the skill should be a lot. Like, you need to push more than you can, but with the right technical, with the right timing. Otherwise, the board will not pump as you want, but as she wants. So it's not so good. We can just see Yannis Mouse going for tack and pumping because there is no wind, and we can see also Conor Bainbridge with this grey F1.
He looks smooth, doesn't he? I mean, he's not having to work the board that hard. Do you think the extra square meters on the 25 meter are working well for Conor Bainbridge?
Every single centimeter more on this marginal condition are useful. So I think he is happy to have the 25 in this moment.
Yes, exactly. Lorenzo, is really important. 1 square meter, I can tell you, it make a lot of difference on this wind. And then you can see now there is 1 more tack to go, and to get the lane line, which you need to spot the right position to avoid an extra tack close to the mark, because doing another tack is going to be a disaster. So now they are just switching. So the first one now, who is the?
Martin.
It's Martin in front. So now Martin is leading, just rounding the top mark in 1st position.
We have Yannis.
And Yannis 3rd, and Noah Ranciman is in. Who is the 2nd?
I think this is Santos Villegas from still the 1st lap. So this is overlap, guys.
Yeah.
So we have Martin Doling 1st, going for jibe, and Yannis Mouse as a 3rd person here, but he's 2nd because the guy that is in 2nd position is Santos Villegas from the 1st lap, and we have Conor Bainbridge on the F1 and Axel Mazella on the orange Ozone.
Right, so we've got a good mix of kites here. So it looks like there are 3 fly surfers in the lead, but actually Santos Villegas at the towards the top on the right hand side is a whole lap behind, and so there's another kite that crashes to the water behind, just managing to keep that kite out of the water. But look at this graveyard of kites, and it's just a reminder to Martin Dolence in the lead that you can't take anything for granted in these conditions. But Martin, after that abandoned race earlier, it looks like he's in masterful control of the rerun of the yellow group at race 1, and the Croatian looking very strong as he rounds the leeward mark for the last time. Now it's the slalom mark that he's got to get around, but he's got a good lead ahead of him.
Yeah, so I guess that the right Martin Doling is in 1st. That is, no matter what, we are sure 100%. And the 2nd one, it seems that after the 2nd lap, he did quite a great job. Marcus Edegran, the American, and then Alexander Allen, and Dennis Saradin were just straight behind. So we need to wait until the last jibe who is gonna score their position.
This is a big lead now for Martin Dolence, about to notch up his 1st win of the series. and clearly the Croatian has great control in these conditions. Lorenzo, this is really good sailing by the Croatian, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's perfect performance here in Lake Trounsey for really light marginal condition. So I think Martin Holland did the best that he could. So yeah, congratulations to him, and let's see.
And Martin trains with Max Mader a lot, so they both had good first races. Who's coming across the line now, Mirko? What do you reckon?
I need to spot the bottom of the board to see the flag.
So we got...
I think it's Marcus Edegran, and then was Alexander Allen straight behind, and Connor Bainbridge. This is Connor.
Yeah.
Right. That's Connor with the 25-meter.
And in 5th position we have Axel Mazella with orange Ozen. And it's difficult to spot the guys because...
And then red helmets must be Dennis Taradin.
No, it's Alexander Helen.
Oh, this is Alexander Helen.
Alexander Helen just right behind Axel Mazella. So...
And then quite a gap before the next ones.
Yeah, really...
Okay.
As I was told in
We'll come back to you soon. We are in such a quick turnover. We go to a quick ad break and back to you with the next start. Right, we got less than 30 seconds to the start for the first women's race, and we have got we got the absolute top of the top in the women. Watch out for Daniela Moroz from USA. 10 seconds to the start. Lauriane Nolot from France, also one to watch. They will have been taking note of which end of the line to start, because that's why the committee boat is so busy. Start time, and look how busy up at the committee boat. Some of those riders looking for that early tack out to the right.
Yes. So, and then we spotted that it's a clear start. Let's see, some of them, they went on port just behind the pack, but they decided to go on the right side of the course without having an extra tack, so they passed behind but straight to the cliff to avoid one tack.
Right, and so we haven't seen much of that in the men's racing yet, but that's a pretty strong move if you've got the space to do it. Port tack underneath the fleet, that's one less tack to think about going out to the correct side of the course.
Yes, exactly. They spotted that there were only a few close to the race committee, so they decided to start on port just behind the little group close into the race committee boat. But Lauriane Nolot, and we see she's Daniela on the fly surfer, just windward to Lauriane, right?
Yeah, I think so, Mirko. We can spot Lauriane Nolot with the red and yellow fly max, and I really think the fly surfer that is most on the left side of the footage now could be Daniela Moroz from US. Hey.
They were absolute neck and neck going into that tack, but coming out of the tack, that's Moroz on the right now, who has the clear advantage over Lauriane Nolot. But as they get to the top of the course, the challenges will get greater and greater as the wind starts to drop out. But these two pretty slow to get over to the right-hand side, so it'll be interesting to see if others come in ahead of these two, Mirko.
Yes, exactly. Did you see staying windward, then Lauriane to stay and not to lose too much space. She had to go for more VMG, more speed, and changing angle. So now she's sitting on third position, because we have Daniela first, and is it Heli on the second?
It's difficult to recognize. Ali,
Yellow helmets.
Ali, or Leonie Meyer could be maybe. fly surfer.
Yeah, fly surfer, and no matter what, Lorian with the fly marks red and yellow, she's on third.
And the first two have jibed early, haven't they? And pumping the board hard to keep it going. So very challenging conditions, and also kites in the water to be avoided.
Yeah, exactly. And you see now how they, all of them, including all the girl, they learn how to pump the foil, and with their knee, their legs, pumping a lot to get enough speed to get again more apparent wind on their kite and to increase speed. Every little piece, put it together, make you the possibility to have a gain during the course.
Lorian Nolo looking very solid with the red and yellow kite. Looks like Nolo might have made a gain from the middle of the lake. So as Nolo actually moved ahead of the two fly surfers, she certainly put herself back in contention for the lead. I don't think she's going to take the lead, but very, very close right now. And Daniela Moroz going into another jibe. So those extra manoeuvres, will that pay off for Nolo coming back onto starboard jibe with rights? Could this be a change of lead this time? It depends how well that jibe is executed. But extremely close now between Moroz and Nolo, the American against the French, the two favourites you would probably say in this fleet right now.
Yes, exactly. It was a kind of great move from Lorian to stay a little bit more to the left and then have a late jibe just to stay just in fresh air, because I guess that the decision was not to look on more wind, but to stay out of any trouble. And as you said, there was some kite on the water to avoid it, so she just went for a clean straight line, and now it's just behind Daniela.
So Lorenzo, where Lorian Nolo is she able to tack and clear the board in third and fourth place, or is that holding her where she is?
No, like at the moment she has good space to tack. As we can see, she's tacking, and I think she will be in front of the third and the fourth one. I spotted Julia Damasiewicz in third position, and now also Daniela Moroz a little bit windward to Lorian, just tacked and going for port ley line of the up in mark. So let's see who is
the board in fourth, just going out of picture, looked like they were struggling to stay on the foil, so even the best are struggling to keep fully foiling in these conditions. What do you think of this position over here? Are we looking at Julia Damasiewicz on the left?
Yeah, that position is really nice. We can see really different angles from the drone footage, so I think when she go to tack for the ley line, she could be in front of everybody because she's starboard after the tack, so she has priority. So let's see what's gonna happen here.
Let's see if
we see Lorian Nolo bear away the fly surfer kite, but going straight because this is the new ley line.
Well, maybe. Who's that struggling?
Lorian Nolo just gets stuck in the water because of no wind, and Daniela Moroz just tacked windward to everybody, and we see Julia Damasiewicz rounding Mark 1 as first position.
So amazing overtake by Julia Damasiewicz, really confident sailing by the young Polish rider, and now with a good gap back to Daniela Moroz. But look at the disaster unfolding behind them, because Lorian Nolo, her kite barely above the water, she sunk down in that tack, and so third and fourth places are likely to be overtaken by others, while Damasiewicz is pumping the board out of that jibe, seeing if the Polish rider can stay ahead of the reigning world champion in Formula Kite. That's Daniela Moroz from USA, who is now in second place, now pumping like mad to get out of the light wind zone at the top of this race course.
This is not a good thing. Like they should pump even while going on. So normally we just pump after the maneuver or while we are maneuvering. But if they are pumping while riding normally, even now when it means no wind.
Yeah, I mean, marginal, as we said from the beginning. This is why you have to really get used to training in this kind of condition, and that is a big challenge for all the top athletes to get used to sail on really marginal condition and to avoid any kind of little mistake. But it's impressive. I'm impressed how they get the skill on this kind of wind after the maneuvering and pumping their foil to get more speed straight after the maneuver.
Is it also helping, Julia, that she's probably one of the lighter riders, so she's got less weight to lift out?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, the weight in this condition really matter. But if you know how to do and the right technique, you can do even if your weight is not super light. So yeah, everything matters in this condition.
I don't know who that other board is and if they're racing, but that was getting in the way of Julia Damasiewicz, who's now back in the clear, and the Polish rider with at least 100 meters back as she goes into the slalom mark. The last maneuver that she has to execute, and now it's a clear run to the finish for Julia Damasiewicz. Really good riding by the Polish rider who has overtaken the previous race leader. That's Daniela Moroz from USA, who we believe is still in second place, but we'll confirm that when we see her. I think we saw her jibing out just behind at the back of picture.
Okay, Julia is really close to cross the finish line. Really great move, and I said before, she did an amazing second windward mark, second upwind legs. She seemed to be pretty happy about that. She knew it.
Absolutely, and she should be so proud of that performance. It was a really confident attack on the second upwind leg, tacking out earlier than the two leaders and executing some beautiful tacks, whereas Lauriane Nolot in particular, probably would have been her final tack of the race, but she just couldn't execute. She sunk down from second to who knows where. We'll see. I think we see her at the top of picture now, actually. Maybe that's one of those more coloured kites at the back is Lauriane Nolot. Maybe she's recovered, I'm not sure, or maybe she hasn't recovered at all. We'll have to find out. In fact, no, we can see she's still struggling to get her kite in the air, so that maybe a did not finish for Lauriane Nolot. So once you're down, it's really hard to get up again. So great riding by Damasiewicz, and then Daniela Moroz in second. Back to you after this quick ad break. Okay, well, we've seen some exciting racing. It's edge of the board stuff, isn't it? You never quite know with every manoeuvre whether you're going to get through it or not. Really hard to be confident. We've just heard that there's going to be a postponement, unfortunately. Let's just have a quick analysis of those races. Let's remind ourselves of who we've seen succeed so far. So we've seen Martin Dolick prove that he is the man to beat in his side of the men's group. We've just seen Julia Damasiewicz win the first of the women's race, and Guy Bridge just holding on by the skin of his teeth to beat Max Mader on their side of the men's group. So it's too early to say that a pattern is emerging, other than we saw Martin Dolick leading the race that was abandoned. So Martin looking confident in these conditions, would you say, Mirko?
Yes, exactly. I mean, we had this first cycle of regatta, 1, 2, 3. Amazing to see that the best are always in the front, no matter what the condition. And then the consistency that Martin Doleg proved in this kind of marginal condition is a fact, because also in the previous race, which were abandoned, he was always on top of it. So he really deserved the bullet that he scored on the good one. And then was a kind of surprise for Guybridge, because sometimes Guybridge, we all know, is super fast, but we also know that he's really often do some mistake. He didn't. He just cleared all the course perfectly without mistake, and he had quite a good speed, and they were able to beat Max Mader at the end on the last finish leg of the course. And then what an impressive performance by Giulia, because she were second, and she took the chance to go on the right side and tacking before Daniela and Lorianolo. So she was just not covered by the two first. She went early to the other side and paid totally off. So she went from third to first, and amazing.
Well, you predicted all along, Mirko, that whoever gets into the right-hand side earliest is generally going to come off better. That seems to be the general trend, that the right-hand side is the place to be. Lorenzo, what have you learnt from observing your rivals and your friends out there today?
I learned that in this marginal condition, it's more important to be safe and to take home your race, instead to try to be first and lose everything, like we just saw in the women's fleet. We had Lorianolo losing her tack, so he lost her race. She's still there struggling with no win, and so yeah, I think be safe, like ride safely, is the most important thing on really marginal condition. And yeah, you have to start, I think, clean from everybody. Otherwise, you can take bad air from other kite and bad water from other foils, so you can put your effort on your board and on your kite. So, yeah, that's all.
Let's go to a quick ad break. Let's find out a little bit more about the local area, and then we'll be back to you after that.
The R5, built to win.
She's still in the water. Okay, so we're still race delayed at the moment, but hopefully not for too long. Mirko, what's your take on the conditions that we see? Are they raceable at the moment?
So far there is some wind, but only on the lower part of the course, because we can see the kite as far as they get on the first half of the course. They can go back and forward, and it's fine. They can tack and jibe easily. But if we have a longer view close to the top mark, we can see kites struggling to stay in the air, and some of them also being collected by rescue boat. So I guess now is not enough to start the race. So it was a good call for the race committee and our PRO. So it's better to keep it ashore and go for another cycle of regatta, as far as all the conditions are fine for everyone.
Now, my understanding is that we need 4 races to make an event. What do you think if the event were to stop right now and we only ever had one race, because everyone's done one race now, would that be an okay way to settle a championship?
I mean, you know, it's a good call. I would say we still have another racing day, so I would not even think about. I'm a strongly believer till the end, not say over until it's not over. So I would not think about that. Just stay focused on the day after.
No, you're absolutely right, and we should be optimistic, just as Lauriane Nelot should be optimistic about getting that red and yellow kite back up in the air again. She's probably been there for 10 minutes or more. If you remember, she was fighting for the lead of that race, and then her final tack to the windward mark on the last lap of that race was the moment that she sunk down into the water, and she's been struggling to get that kite up in the air ever since then.
Yeah, and I think at this moment Lorenzo is yellow and red kite. She's trying to come closer to the beach, so to go a little bit leeward with the power of the wind without riding, because where she is there is no wind, so she's just trying to make her pulling down to the beach and with more wind and try to go back ashore with dry kite, as we said before. Huh?
Right. It's such a critical part of staying competitive, is keeping that kite dry, which is why you see these fly surfers being flown in the air at the moment. Chances are they were in the water a few minutes ago, so now the riders are looking to shake as much water out of the kite as they possibly can.
Yeah, also because we have talked about wet kite and performance, but we never talk about the kite is studied to have a weight, so every single bridle is studied by the engineer to have a maximum normal load, we can say. But if the kite is wet, the maximum load of this bridle is way more because the kite is pulling more. So one big problem about the kite wet is that the kite is getting untrimmed anymore, so the stitching are getting more wide and all the canopy is not in tension anymore. So actually after 3 or 4 times you put completely your kite in the water, it's not anymore for a world championship, I can say. So from my side, after 3 or 4 times completely in the water, so completely wet, I would like to use just for training, not anymore for competing in an important competition.
Is that true even if you get it wet in fresh water? So it doesn't matter whether it's salt or fresh water?
I guess that there is always a truth is always on the middle, depend on the stretch of the kite. We know in any kind of sailing, when there is some strength or bad things happen or just a capsize, you never know if it's going to be affected to the equipment. Obvious, if you let your kite spend a lot of time in the water, it's not going to be the same as a kite being always dry. So it's really important to keep everything safe and and without any trouble.
Okay, well, we'll keep you in touch with what's going on. We'll go to a quick ad break and back to you soon.
DR5, built to win.
A long way down the order, thanks. So we're on race delay, but waiting to see if we can get going. At the moment, Mirko, it doesn't look that hopeful in the near future, does it? The wind has dropped out again.
Yeah, I must say that the wind now is really dropped, and we can easily see far away off course is exactly without wind, and then all the kite they were collected by the rescue boat here in Trance. So again, good call to keep everyone ashore for the one that are ashore and with the kite dry, and wait for something better later.
So it's very, very calm up the top end of the lake, as you can see. That's very normal, but what we need to see is darker water in the bottom half of our screen. That's what we're waiting to come back from. We've had 3 pretty interesting races. I'm sure we get very different reactions from different riders depending on whether they manage to cross the finish line in the top 5 or 6, or whether they didn't manage to finish at all. But some of these riders like Julia Damasiewicz and Martin Dolenc and Guy Bridge have really shown the rest of the fleet how it's done. And Lorenzo, the pump foiling that we've seen, it looks like it's a very relevant skill to have, very important skill to work on for these conditions.
Yeah, that's true. Usually we do for having fun in a boring day without wind. But yeah, as you said, it's important to know how to pump your foil and how your foil will react, because different winds, different foil will react in a different way. So it's really important, because in this marginal condition, if you know how to use your board and your power in your leg, it can be really, really useful. And we can say now Lorena Lo is still struggling to start, so she's still trying to get pulled from the kite to the beach without getting wet.
She's actually getting some good speed there at times. She's made quite a lot of distance doing what she's doing. Let's have a look at the results for the men. So we saw Martin Dolenc. We knew that he won the race, and now we have confirmation that it was Marcus Edegran from USA who was in second, and USA also in third for Kai Kolder. So really impressive by the USA team, followed by Poland's Jakub Jukowski coming in fourth, and Axel Mozella in fifth, and Francis Teo de Ramacourt, the reigning world champion in Formula Kite, in sixth. So Lorenzo, would you say that sixth for Teo on one side of the group would be a bit of a disappointment?
You know, in this marginal condition, even a super little mistake can make your race really wrong, really bad. So yeah, maybe he's a little bit disappointing, but he could, like, his race could go worse.
A finish is a finish. Mirko, what stands out at you? Any comments there, maybe about the USA riders doing particularly well?
I mean, on this yellow fleet, we saw it really. Martin did his own race, and Marcus and Edegran and Kai Calder did really a great. Yeah, we are exactly
on the yellow. This is the yellow group, by the way.
Also in the yellow group as well, and Janis Maus must be also on that, and so there is a kind of mix on the online result.
So we think that Janis Maus should be up there as well.
Yeah, because the yellow was Janis Maus and Conor Bainbridge and Axel Mozella.
And meanwhile, just a glimmer of hope. All right, okay, we're back up with looking at the blue group this time. So Guy Bridge, who narrowly won that race against Max Mader, who was closing in on him the whole time. And then it's Kai Kolder in this race that was third, with Jakub Jukowski from Poland in fourth. Teo de Ramacourt in sixth, just behind Germany's Florian Gruber. So we think those are the correct results.
Yeah, from the blue fleet.
Okay.
So exactly, this is the girl Julia, and she was the leading. It was quite easier to spot her at the end, and Daniela Moros in second, Jessie Kapman and on third, and then Alina Cornelli and Ellie Aldridge and Jemima Crathorne and Katie Dobson just scored as the last of the women fleet.
Okay.
I think there are no more girls in this schedule, because I think these are the only girls that could finish the race. Just 6 girls could manage to finish the race because of this marginal condition. Because on what I know, there are more girls than just 6. So,
absolutely.
So that is just the riders that make it to the final, like to the finish line.
Okay, so those are the results so far. We'll be going to a quick ad break, and then we'll be back to you after that.
Has increasingly shifted its focus to becoming the leading specialist supplier for flying lines. Top riders like the 4-time Formula Kite World Champion Daniela Moroz, Martin Dolenc, Teo de Ramacourt and Guy Bridge are among the many athletes who trust Robline's Garda series. Some of the greatest riders use Garda 389 as front lines and Garda 299 as back lines.
Lorenzo, we just saw an ad for Rob Line, and you were talking about the importance of the design weights in kites, and you can't afford to get the kite too heavy with water, because then it can put the lines under strain. So how closely are the lines designed? How much extra strength do they have in them beyond their normal working load?
Normally we use lines that have around 40-45% of braking load more than normally use, because everything can happen and the lines can getting older, so when they are getting older the braking load is getting closer to the normal use, so you can do a line that is braking the 10% of weight more than the normal, so we need to be careful with all of this.
And different kites have different numbers of bridles as well. So Fly Surfer has the fewest number of bridles. Tell us the difference between the different brands.
Yeah, actually, normal Ramair kites, so like what we can see, on what we can see, normally you can change the profile with 4 different line on the kite. We have A, B, C, and brakes. So this is like a normal kite, like Ozone, and we have Fly Max that have just 3 row of lines, so A, C, and D. So it's they did this for a lighter kite and less drag, but for the most perfection, we have Fly Surfer with just 2 row of lines. So that's mean really low weight, really low drag. But this kite is way different from the other one, because on this kite you have the same shape of the kite and you just change the angle of the tack, so it's mean the angle on the wing. Meanwhile the other kites are changing the profile to have more power or less power. So these are completely different way of like making kites, but we can see as all the kites are going really close and really fast the same.
So it's interesting to see, well, Lorraine Nolo actually, who we're looking at drying out her yellow and red Flymax kite there, she believes that it will be difficult for anybody to stay on one brand of kite throughout the wind range. Obviously some sponsored riders have to stick with whoever their sponsor brand is, but L'Oreal is choosing to go with 3 different brands across the wind range right now. It seems to be the Ozones are quite popular at the smaller end of the range for windier conditions. Fly Surfer seem very popular for the light end, and Fly Max somewhere in the middle. Is that right, Lorenzo?
We can say yes. We can see really a lot of difference between women's fleet and men's fleet. Usually on the men's fleet we can see around 80% of Fly Surfer in all conditions. Instead of girl fleet, we have really different kites, as you said, between strong wind and light wind.
Well, we've got the updated results from the men. So talk us through those results, Mirko.
Yes, so after one race for each fleet, the yellow and the blue, as we said, Martin Dolenk and Guybridge, they scored their bullet on respectively on the blue and the yellow. So they are with 1 and 1, and Marcus Edegran and Max Mader, they are the 2 second on their fleet. And then Janice Maus and Kai Calder, Connor Bainbridge and Jaco Yukowski and Axel Mazel and Flo Gruber, Theo de Ramecourt and Alexander Ellen, and they closed the top 10. And then impressive to see Tiger Tyson afterward, and Anthony Picard, Denis Taradin pretty on the back of the fleet. Quite amazing result. They for sure gonna pray to have the wind back and to get other regatta under the belt for sure. So at least we have a couple of that in the today under the belt. At least there is some action
And then just to remind you, in the women, it's Julia Damasiewicz from Poland who won that first race ahead of Daniela Moroz in quite a dramatic competition, and only 6 female riders actually getting across the finish line because that's when the wind was really collapsing. So well done also to France's Jessie Campman, Alina Corneli from Austria, and then Great Britain's Ellie Aldridge and Jemima Craythorne getting across the line before the wind disappeared. We are going to disappear, but only for a short time. We'll be back to you again soon when we've got a better update and a more optimistic view of Tronsey, which at the moment looks a little bit too light for kiting. Great for wakeboarding, but we'll get back to you a little bit later on with some kiteboarding action. See you then.
Wir sind auf der Suche nach dem Echten, dem Kostbaren, nach Menschen, die ihr Handwerk pflegen, weil sie es mit Herz und Händen lieben und dabei Neues entstehen lassen. Wir suchen den Ort, wo die Natur den Geschmack für Küche und Keller reifen lässt. Wo die Menschen das Schmecken zum Erlebnis machen und hungrig sind auf echte Begegnungen. Wir begegnen den Menschen und finden das Echte in Oberösterreich.